So what I want to do is talk about rail in relationship to air in two dimensions. First is called competition. And what rail does is it does something wonderful. It provides capacity that the whole system needs. Sometimes it pulls everybody off, sometimes it does. It provides capacity and gives people mobility options. That's what it does. Two is called rail complementarity. And in rail complementarity, we contort the system just a bit. And we expect the system suddenly to use rail as a substitute for little Cessna airplanes and little tiny airplanes and make it act like part of the aviation system. So question number two is, do we know how to do that? And do we know how to analyze it? And question three is, if we did analyze the third, do we have the institutional oomph to do it in the first place? How many people are being served in Europe when rail is in a complementary mode? And how many people are being used in a diversion mode where rail is pulling people away from air? It isn't what I thought. We found 6 million diversions and 23 million feeder trips. And when I say feeder trips, that's not just by Metropolitan Rail. Metropolitan Rail is not in there. This is by longer distance rails. If the time on the train is less than 3.5 hours, you got a good chance of getting the majority of the air rail market onto rail. Now, have I mentioned distance? No, I have not. All I said was, if the train from terminal to terminal can do it in 3.5 hours, we would hope that you'd be a candidate to get over 50% mode share. Nobody is going to go 400 miles on a train if there's a little airplane doing the same thing in a third the time. Okay, what's the crux of the problem then? The crux of the problem is that in our enthusiasm for the very real niche market of what high-speed rail can do, sometimes we get a little over enthusiastic and we say, oh, all these short distance trips will go away. The short distance trips have no particular motivation to go away. And what essentially happens, as I said before, is that you lose about 40% of the flights in the first few years, and then it levels off. The flights do not simply disappear. So it is a really complicated issue of how does the consumer make a decision about a mode. What do the airlines say about that? One of the things we found was for this total elimination to occur, which it did once between Frankfurt and Cologne, the airport manager has to say, I have the power to do this. I have the power to kick away those little flights that are causing me problems. In the United States, they do not have that power. The airport has to want to do it. The airline has to say, yeah, I'm going to put my name, Continental, on this Amtrak ticket and hope everybody's going to love me for it. So in our analysis of air-rail complementarity, my recommendation to this group and to whoever's listening out there is that we don't give up on it. I don't think we should give up on the idea that lots and lots of rail services can collect people very efficiently, but we should not assume that the institutions that we all work for are ready to do it. In cases in Europe where this has happened, it has proved to be the exception rather than the rule. Are there reasons that we shouldn't give up? Yeah. I can think of 23 million reasons. Look at the nature of Copenhagen. Look at the nature of Zurich. Look at the nature of Amsterdam, Schiphol, for example. And you see there really is a symbiotic relationship between a rail system, a ground system that does a good job of collecting people, and an air system that does a good job of carrying them. It's not going to be easy, and you can't expect the institutions are going to lap it up on day one, because I'm not sure they have any motivation to.